Today is a chilly December 22nd, and until a few seconds ago, I didn't notice it was Wednesday. Whoa, it's chilly. Did not notice it was Wednesday. I didn't realize. Supposed to be doing Niyamas on Wednesdays. And I'm, as usual, not prepared to do that. Which is interesting. Maybe it is time to start putting some thought into that. I do want to talk about yoga and cueing. Once again, I want to talk about teaching yoga. And it's not unreasonable to apply the niyamas to teaching. How do we teach yoga and the niyamas? And I want to talk. There's three things that come to mind immediately. And there is some stuff that surrounds these three things. For example, teach your truth. Teach your truth. You hear this all the time in certifications at all sorts of places. Teach your truth. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean use flowery, foofy language that's meaningless. It has to be relatable. There's so much to say about this subject, and I want to keep it really concise. I want to keep it really coherent. First of all, when cueing yoga, you don't have to use cues that other people use. You can move your body through your own practice, and you can cue from those movements. Like, a teacher already knows, like, say you're thinking of going to yoga school for a $200 cert, and you're worried because you can't remember all of the things to say, so have a person go from Tadasana to downward dog. And you're reading some cueing guidelines, and you're like, oh my God. You might say something to yourself, nobody has ever said any of these things to me. That's your first clue. There are a lot of teachers out there that don't teach, they cue. And if you are reading cueing guidelines and you're thinking to yourself that you've never experienced thinking or being taught the postures the way they're cued in the cueing guidelines, maybe start thinking about those people who call themselves teachers. And yeah, I'm calling them out a little bit. Absolutely. Calling them out a little bit. Maybe a lot of it. I'm just calling them out. Forget qualifying it. I'm calling them out. Because the whole reason I'm having this conversation is because people don't teach yoga well. They cue shapes. And that's not what teaching yoga is. So if you're thinking of becoming a teacher, if you're in teacher training, and you think to yourself, nobody's ever taught the postures to me, the asanas like this, well, that's your first benchmark to be the change that you want to see in the world. Be the teacher you wish you had. Think about these words. Be the teacher you wish you had when you first started learning yoga. Be the teacher you wish you had when you first started learning yoga. Learn to cue in a relatable, contextual way so that when you tell a person to do a thing like widen their stance for more balance in Warrior One, bend the back knee so their hips are aligned in crescent. That's the other part of teaching your truth. Your truth might be that you just love throwing this toy so much. Your truth might be that you did not get a good yoga experience when you started and you had an injury and it took you off the mat, and then you had to go on this great long learning exercise, and then you figured some stuff out, and then you came back and you went to school, and now you want to teach. And you don't want to repeat the mistakes that you were taught. Be the teacher you wish you had when you were new. And then the other thing is don't worry about the cueing that somebody else uses unless it's wrong or unless it's amazingly illuminating. Like somebody says, what could they say? Somebody says side opener instead of a side bend. And you're like, whoa, I never thought of that. Like, that's fine, but don't copy. Seek to emulate, seek to learn from and redevelop and reenact, so to speak. Make their words your own. Oh, I'm so there's so much mud on me from my dog. And you move, right? You have a practice. You do sun salutations. You do postures, and you know how you move through them. Find words that work for you that allow you to convey the proper detail of the postures. That's one aspect, that one chunk. Use words that are relatable. The word pain. I've been in classes multiple times and I've said, half pigeon for example, I've said, shouldn't feel any pain in that right knee. Right, if you're in tabletop and you draw your right knee towards your right wrist and you step back through the left foot and then you rotate. You externally rotate the right thigh so that your right foot comes across the midsection, and then you lower down through the back foot to find your half pigeon. That right knee is bent. And I've said there shouldn't be any pain. There should be nothing. You should just feel your knee. And I was watching somebody, and their foot was not where I thought it ought to be. And I went over there, and I got alongside of them, because I don't particularly believe in hands-on adjustments. I don't like them. I don't want anybody putting their hands on me, and I don't want to put my hands on anybody. So I was next to them on the floor, and I emulated what she was doing, and I said, what if we do this? And I described something with my knee. And she was like, that's not really going to work for me. I said, well, then why don't we take this prone on our backs? And I showed her how to do that, and she said, oh, that's great. It was really hurting my knee. And I had just said, 2 seconds ago, I had said, if this hurts your knee, do not do it. That's a very accessible sentence. And I'm not, this tone of voice is not because I'm angry at her. I'm angry at yoga teachers. Specifically. Fitness instructors in general, yoga teachers specifically, because we use language that makes our practice inaccessible. If it hurts your knee, don't do this. And she was doing it. I'm particularly fond of a reverse lizard, where you're in your lizard and you reach behind you. And I was cueing this class, and I was looking at this gentleman, and he had naps. And I said to everybody, I said, this posture, this movement, it works the entire rotator cuff. If you have any shoulder injuries, if your shoulders are tight, if you ever had rotator cuff surgery, don't do this. Don't do this if it hurts. Don't do this if it hurts. Just stay in lizard. And I turned, and there was this gentleman's face, and he was going, and I said, what is happening? You're making a face like you're in a lot of pain. And he says, this is really uncomfortable. Don't do it. I don't blame him either. I blame instructors who go on and on and on about no pain, no gain. That's bullshit. So use words that are accessible. If you say, don't do this if it hurts, and somebody still does it, they're not hearing your message. And I don't know a more concise way to say, if it hurts, don't do this, right? But there have been numerous occasions when I've had to one-on-one somebody because people say, well, no, I'm different, or this is different, or it's not going to hurt for long, or I'm doing it wrong is why it hurts, or once I get over this hump, it won't hurt, or something. So if using language like that, don't do this if it hurts, if using that language is somehow inaccessible, imagine what some of the stuff people say is doing to our practice. Shining this forward, or shooting light out of your elbows, or whatever. I don't subscribe to the moon juice, and I don't have a lot of moon juice like on tap to reference because I don't believe in it. I like to use anatomical references. Mudras are amazing. And they're real. And there's real evidence backing up the claims behind what mudras are and what they can do for us. That doesn't mean that they belong in a 60-minute all levels power class, right? People come in wanting to be cued through postures, and I don't want to do that. I want to teach yoga. So I teach yoga. But there's a limit to what people want. They didn't sign up for a mudra workshop. Don't complicate the message. Be the teacher that you wish you had when you were new. Approach every posture like a beginner with the enthusiasm and attention of a beginner. Don't approach them like you've never seen them before, but approach them like they're new and interesting instead of being like, oh, downward dog again. If you teach downward dog 500 times, then the 500th time, teach it like it's the first time. Accurate and concise and detailed and informative and healthily. And the Niyamas illustrate the truth of what I'm saying. When you tell somebody, when you start using verbiage that's just not true, like a twist will wring toxins out of your guts. The truth is a yama, right? It's a primary element, truth and ahimsa, right? Non-violence and truth. Lying to people is violence. You're not telling the truth with that kind of a claim, and that kind of a claim does not protect people from moving wrong. You move from the thoracic spine. You don't wring out your discs for rehydrating later. Your friggin' vertebral discs are fine. Body is handling that without you squishing them down so they get more juice later. Discipline, purity of thought, contentment, self-reflection, and surrender. Reflect. Have the discipline to reflect upon your own language and your intentions. Surrender to the truth that maybe some of the words you use are not good, myself included. Right? Every time I talk in a class, I wonder if it was received. And you can tell by how people move, right? You start cueing somebody through downward dog and they whip out a checkbook and start doing accounting. Maybe you're not saying the right thing, right? You start cueing somebody through downward dog and they start making coffee. Like, pay attention to how other people are moving by sitting on your mat and speaking and teaching yoga. Demonstrate if you must, but then stop and witness. Pay attention. Make sure your words are accessible. Make sure you're not doing more harm. It's a hot topic for me. Be the teacher you wish you had when you were new. Speak truthfully and from a place where other people can relate and access the information you're providing. Share your expertise and passion with the people in your class. Teach. I suppose this must be a picture-in-picture because I've been rambling. This is a very important subject for me. It's been on my mind a lot lately. Do not say, this is an addendum, do not say lift up one vertebrae at a time. Do not say engage your core. They're wrong. They're wrong. Go learn why. Find an orthopedist. Find somebody who teaches physical therapy to physical therapists. Find a strength and conditioning specialist. Do not find somebody who simply cooperates. Do not find somebody who just agrees with what you say. Find somebody who disagrees with what you say. Read their stuff. Watch their videos. Get some contrasting views into your own space there, and then decide. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here today. This is not a fun, laugh-filled vlog. You can see Cassie run circles around me. I'm gonna go do my practice, and I'll put it up in the corner. Namaste.